Let's cover troubleshooting on the hydraulic through-frame system. Now what we have here are problems that you might see in the field, and we put together short checklists that'll help you troubleshoot those problems. Now for the first set here, all three of those are very similar in that the room doesn't move, the room moves slowly, or the room is moving but it stops in the middle. Now the first thing you're going to check is your battery. Make sure you have a full charge on the battery and that it's maintained at full capacity. But we're going to take that a step further and take a look at all your wiring and connections. Make sure you don't have any loose connections, disconnected wiring, or corrosion on any of the terminals in the system. Now, the next thing you're going to do is check for obstructions. So obstructions can be on the outside of the unit or the inside of the unit. So make sure you don't have any limbs or branches that have fallen on the top of the room while you're camping, and clear out that room of all your luggage and teddy bears and pillows so that doesn't obscure movement. Now, the last thing you're going to do is check adjustments. Now, your adjustments can be vertical, horizontal, your in and out stops, or synchronization of the room. But the first thing you're going to do for adjustments is do that visual inspection. So let's go out to the bay and take a look and see what that consists of. So what we've done is we've taken this slide out and moved out a little bit so we can take a look at some components inside. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make sure that the horizontal adjustment inside the cutout of the slide out is equal on both sides. So we're looking at this wiper seal here and making sure that it has good contact on the outside of the slide out and that it's not crimped in or folded or broken, any of those. All the seal is nice and tied up against there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the other side and look at the other wiper. And again, we're looking at the wiper seal is all the way up and down on the slide out, making sure that that contact is there and it's not folded or broken or rotted. Now what we're going to do is we're going to run this room in and make sure that the horizontal and the vertical adjustments are set proper. What we're going to do here is we're going to watch for synchronization. We're looking at the left side and the right side of the unit and that they're moving at the exact same time. Now, when this goes all the way in, next we're going to be looking for vertical adjustment. Now, the top of the RV slide out is going to touch first, and then the bottom is going to suck in. Now, that is a proper seal. So now that the room is actually sealed against the unit, we're going to take a look at these bulb seals and make sure that they are sealed up against the unit and that they're 50% of that seal is pressed up against that. And it's forming a good seal on the unit. And we'll check this other one too and make sure that it is sealed up against the unit. Now, if it's not, all of the adjustments that we've talked about vertical adjustments, we've talked about horizontal adjustments. If one side is not sealed up against there, then you know that it's not synchronized, and you're going to have to go to that idler arm and adjust that. Now we're on the inside of the unit now, and we're taking a look at the seals for the out stops. So when you run the unit all the way out, this seal here is going to seal up against this flange on the slide out itself. Now what we can do is we can look at this seal for damage or anything that could be obstructing the path of the slide out. So you're going to want this seal to seal up against this flange on the slide out itself. The next problem that we're going to look at is room drifts in and out by itself. Now the first thing I want you to take a look at are the mounting bolts on the cylinder itself. And those are located on the front of the cylinder and the rear of the cylinder. If those bolts are loose or missing, you could have some play in the room. The second thing I want you to look at is check hydraulic hoses and fittings for leaks. Now, making sure that when you look at the entire system, you don't see any hydraulic fluid on the exterior of the system. If you do, narrow that down and fix those leaks. Now the third thing is you're going to check for leaks on the cylinder itself, and you do that by performing a cylinder test. Let's take a look at that. Let's isolate the problem by performing the cylinder test. But before you do that, you're going to want to retract that room fully. Now the first step in the test is you're going to remove the extend hose from the cylinder, and you do that by using a 9/16 inch wrench. Once that hose is removed, you're going to want to press the retract button several times. Now what this does is it builds pressure of fluid up on this side of the piston. So as you can see, you have these two seals on the piston itself. Those are sealing the fluid on this side. So if they are damaged or worn, the fluid will go up and over and out of that fitting. Now if you have fluid leaking out of the extend hose, then you'll have to replace the manifold or the hydraulic power unit. Now that we did the cylinder test, you're going to cycle the pump several times just to get all that air out of the system. The last problem that I want you to look at, pump runs and cylinder moves, but the room doesn't move. Now, if you remember the electrical system, we had something exactly like that, and that is where this nylock nut and the jam nuts here are loose or missing, so the actuator isn't attached to the front bracket. Now, if it's not attached to the front bracket, the room won't move. So make sure that the nylock nut and your jam nuts are where they need to be and tied up against the system. Next, we're going to perform the manual override procedure on the hydraulic system. Now to do that, you're going to first find the hydraulic power unit, and on top, you're going to find a sticker that's covering up the coupling device that you're going to insert your hex bit on your cordless drill here and turn it clockwise to retract the room and counterclockwise to extend the room. So I'll move this around a little bit. I'm retracting the room in. So if I go to counterclockwise, I'll be pushing the room out. Most of the time, you're going to be retracting this in so you can travel with it. So make sure you get your travel locks on your room so you can get this into a repair facility.